Yeah, Manny's still out here at old Greg's vagina. Mangina. It's like a fertile, knoll type area with, it's very fertile and wet. It's what sexy, wet vagina. Where we're going to grow some boy-girl trees and nut trees for the squirrel. And, we can't move on. We can't do anything because these bastards, what they do to us. Dude, these vaginas at the social service agencies, Mooney tells them, it's like, well, how do we have this card if we missed our appointment? Because see, we applied for this at the same time we applied for the other, and we don't want either of it. Yes, we don't want your fucking welfare, health care, or your fucking food stamps. But the problem is like they all got these social hierarchies where they want to deny us labor and discriminate against us and say we're not allowed to have a job here. I'm not going to work next to something like that. It's like, for whatever reason, to deny their other abuse against others. So, we can't work, they won't let us not even have entrepreneurial. Yes, we can't even have this entrepreneurial enterprise. Yes, Manny has an idea to make these Rick and Morty portal guns, right? Like, we order this glass from a glass maker, and it's similar. It's very similar to the little green globe tube thingy on top of Rick Sanchez's portal gun, right? Except it's made out of glass, and you can put a little glass bowl down into it and a pipe stem on it, and it's a real fucking it's a real portal gun. It's real. It's the real thing. It's a real portal gun. You put your cannabis in there, or your dabs. You could turn it into a dab rigs and put a quartz banger on the side of it. You could totally go portal to a new fucking dimension with this. Yeah, so we buy these little Rick and Morty portal guns from Funko off of eBay and Amazon and other places, and we just remove that little green plastic piece, and they light up and they make sounds. That's even cooler, right? So we cut that off, and then we glue our glass piece onto there so that it won't fall off, and it's on there secure. And then we sell them on eBay. But then Ted Turner comes along and says, no, tranny, you're not allowed to sell those. You're not allowed to buy a Chevrolet and turn it into a fucking hot rod and then resell it. Not unless we get a piece of the action. Yeah, and it's like, okay, well, Mooney doesn't know too much about this corporate, we don't know too much about it, except we use the example, you could buy a Chevy, or any car, and modify it, and soup it up, turn it into a drag racer, or whatever, and then you can sell that, if you want to. Yeah, you could sell it, and make more monies out of it. Okay, well, Minnie can't help it. We don't give a fuck if your Ted Turner fucking broadcasting Cartoon Network shit can't openly sell so-called fucking drug pipes. It's for cannabis, and if somebody uses it for something else, well, it's the same as with the interchangeable fucking parts. Eli fucking Whitney. But so, they get on us, they tell eBay we're not allowed to sell those. And Mooney was selling the fuck out of them too. Yeah, and we were even trying to figure out, okay, so we're selling these on eBay and we got some nice little business going. So now we need to figure out how to pay the taxes on it. We've got to go over to the auditor's office and figure out, what do we got to, we're keeping track of all of our records and things, and it's like, okay, well, we got to pay these taxes, because, Mooney wants to have a successful business and also contribute to this so-called society before everything went fucking tits up and now it's all fucked. When we can't even use the toilet because Nancy fucking Mace, Congress, representative in South Carolina or North Carolina or whatever the fuck Carolina is says we're not allowed to use the toilet. While Jim Crow crawls up inside their vagina, grabs a hold of their ovaries, and drives them around like a Stepford wife tank. Yes, because they want to bring back segregated toilets. And you know why they want to do that? It's bad enough if they make another toilet house over here and say, well, you niggers, you blacks, you coloreds, whatever. And we're going to say that word. Fuck you. Fuck you. We've been called nigger, faggot, tranny, queer. And we will say that word. And we don't give a fuck who doesn't like it. Yeah, we don't give a fuck if you're white. We don't give a fuck if you identify as white, if you identify as black. We don't give a fuck. Because see these trees here? Those trees are Mooney's niggas. These is Mooney's niggas. This is Mooney's niggas. So, this is what we're trying to say. We're trying to identify with those who have also been discriminated against. Because of either the color of their skin, their race, something that's different about them. Like Mooney's different because we pick up a condom when we're 3 and have a little public drink out of it. While everybody else wants privacy, we can't help that. We can't help that it makes us different. But we do recognize that other people, that some are mistreated too. Yeah, these fucking Debs and their social hierarchies and shit. So, yeah, Mooney doesn't even know where we were going with that, but essentially they won't let us do anything. Yeah, we tried to sell portal guns. Real portal guns. Yeah, the real ones, where you can get Mary Jane. You can get some portal gun fuel and go to another dimension. And stick some fucking seeds up your ass. What do they call those seeds? It's like the first episode or whatever, Rick and Morty. Some kind of seeds. They go to another dimension to get these seeds. Yeah, and Rick needs Morty to stick them way up inside their butt. My butt? Yeah, and you could do that. You could give Mary Jane a little kiss out of a portal gun rig. And they won't allow us to sell those. Ted Turner and the big bad Ted Turner wolf, which is like fucking Duke Phillips in The Critic with John Lovitz. Yeah, it's like Duke Phillips, Ted Turner, 2 silly bulls. Come on, that's what they're talking about. Duke Phillips, Ted Turner. Anyways, nothing against Ted, because, if we could have figured out a way to just, say, okay, well, we'll throw you 10% of whatever we'll throw you 10% or 9% or 8% or something. Come to some kind of agreement. It's like, whatever we sell, we'll make sure we'll send you some monies. But, Chevrolet doesn't do that. You buy a car, you modify it, you soup it up, turn it into a drag racer. They're not asking for monies. They're not saying you're not allowed to sell that car. So it's like we're being discriminated. They won't allow us to have labor. Many started out dressing this way as a peaceful protest. Yeah, we started out this way as like a peaceful protest that they send this brain eater all the way from Florida to Ohio to accuse us of stalking, to take away our property, our defense, and murder our character, make us feel vulnerable and defenseless. And then we thought, for 7 of what they measure as years, they identify it as a penis, even though they, are born with a vagina. And many didn't know too much about trans stuff. So, we accepted them for who they said they were. And so, it wasn't nothing to Mooney. He's like, well, we had this relationship with them, so what? But then they tell us about how they ritually killed Tamika and eat their brains, and it's like, now everybody wants to cover up and keep secrets. and they wants to steal our defense. And now we see how all these other vaginas are in this same network of secret keepers and discriminators. And it's not only them. It's very complicated. They've got these, these penises too that they play off of. So Mooney's trying to figure all this shit out, and it's like, we can't do anything else. So, like, what else can we do? It's like, well, we see things. Like a little squirrel up in here. Like when Mooney's planting seeds, we're planting these boy-girl tree seeds to try to grow some more of these trees. And we see a little hungry squirrel up in here, and they're really poor. So we put out some water for them and the birds. Yeah, because it's a long ways to the nearest, body of water. So we thought, well, we'll put out the little thing of water, and when we see Mooney had to stop somewhere and take a poop, see? We went to the store, but then we're like, a lot of places don't even have public toilets, and if they do, we're not allowed to use them under threat from Nancy Mace and their followers. So Mooney walks down by the railroad tracks and squats down on the ground to take a poop, because we didn't bring our bucket with us. We left it here. And while we're squatting down on the ground, we see some nuts. Those nuts like we showed you over there. And we was like, oh shit, there's some nuts. Mooney could totally take those up to that poor little squirrel up there. So we pick them up. And as we're picking them up, we see a couple of them that's like sprouting. They're trying to grow little trees. And they're really close to the railroad track. One of them's close to the railroad track. And it's like, that'll never do any good here because the train will knock it down when it goes by. And then we goes down to the river to stop to fill up our water jugs so that we can have water to wash with and to water our little trees. And we see this bigger squirrel comes along, and it's like hopping down the little road next to the river. And we's like, well, what are you trying to show us, squirrel? It's like, is there a little hidey hole up in there in case, like, we get in trouble over here and somebody comes shooting off their guns and tries to scare us away? So we follow the squirrel for a little bit, and we see some nuts on the ground in the middle of the road. And we find another one that's sprouting, and it's growing in the middle of the road. So the problem there is, if the cars go down this little gravel road, it won't do it. The little seed won't do any good there because the tree, if it grows there, the cars will just run it over. So it's like, well, okay, well, we'll just grab these two little seeds. We'll give them a place up here because there's little squirrels up in here. There's little poor squirrels up in here. And so, even though these vaginas at these welfare agencies want us to just roll over and be their bitch, and here, tranny, fill out this application again. You missed your appointment. No, we didn't. We didn't miss our appointment. See, we got this plastic card here. That means we didn't miss our appointment. So why are you... they tell us to do it again. And we're like, no, we're not doing it again. Because we know you're playing some kind of fucking numbers game here where, they must have some kind of system where the more applications they get, the more money they get. And they want us to just play the fucking game with them. They want to use us like a bitch. Well, we fucking flipped the shit around on them. Now you're the fucking bitch. And we don't want to be that way, but here we are. Money doesn't have any welfare money for food. Yes, we don't have any money for food, but we think of these little squirrels up here. Maybe that's the word. Mooney is their welfare. There's little squirrels up in here. And they don't have any nuts. So Mooney's going to grow some trees. A couple trees here. Maybe they'll grow and make some seeds and grow some more, and hopefully they'll get along with these other ones, the other trees here. And then the squirrels will pick up the nuts, and they'll take them way up over in there, and they'll say, oh, well, let's plant some nuts up in there too. These fucking nuts are great. They love Tranny's fucking nuts.